the most important thing that we have to continue to focus on is indeed on getting the project Villeta to a final investment decision. That's 260,000 tons of fertilizer, right? This is not a small project.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Atome CEO Olivier Mussat. Olivier, very good to see you again. And your half-year results were out this morning. What were the key highlights?
So I think the key highlight is clearly what we have achieved over the beginning of the year, well, the first half of the year. So namely reaching front-end engineering and design completion, obviously the heads of terms offtake agreement with Yara, which really, make the asset completely, bankable and prove that, we have the most advanced project in the green fertilizer sector in the world. So I think it's for us, it was extremely strong support of what we've been doing and how we've been growing. Also, we've announced from the financing side, of how we had made a successful raise in the first half of the year. And also that we continue to have very strong management and shareholder support. So just to, basically showing what we have achieved and that we're in a good position to continue to achieve.
What were the key operational milestones in the period, Olivier?
So operational, clearly the front-end engineering and design, so the feed side, which gives the basic engineering design of a project. Then you also have the EPC contract. So, to go into detailed engineering, having a better idea of the costs, of the timeline, so building time between 31 to 34 months. And finally, on the offtake agreement, and having, the engagement with Yara, which is, basically the largest European fertilizer company with one of the largest presence in LATAM, for a long-term offtake agreement with some downside protection, which then allows you to put together the entire package as we go towards the project financing for Villeta as a next step and the last step to final investment decision.
The recent 30-year term free trade zone agreements are significant developments in Atome's flagship Villeta project, Olivier. What's the material benefits of the agreement to the economic efficiency of the project?
Yeah, so I think it was in Q4 last year where the president signed off a decree giving us the FTZ. And of course, since then, it was all about, going into the details of a full contract, which our team in Paraguay negotiated. So it's basically an exemption of a number of taxes and a reduction also on the number of taxes, which is whether it's, VAT, income tax, and so on. So clearly, whilst, an amount of our production will be sold in Paraguay, the reality is most of the fertilizer will be sold into Brazil, Argentina, and beyond. And so thanks to the, let's say the local benefit that the project will give Paraguay, it made a lot of sense for the government to give us the FTZ, and clearly for us as investors into a project, it continues to basically, improve the economics of the project and make it sustainable on a long term. So we are certainly very thankful from the government that they have continued to show across, obviously not just the presidency, but the entire cabinet and beyond, a strong support for investors of our kind in Paraguay.
What does recent upgrading of Paraguay's investment rating mean for Atome?
Oh, it's multifaceted, right? So I think the number one is obviously from Paraguay's point of view, it's a strong, let's say, confirmation by the international finance community that they are seeing as Paraguay as a safe place to invest, which respects the rule of law and of financial controls. The other side, obviously, it improves financing terms in general. As the country has a higher grade, it has its cost of debt lower. And I think for us as well, it just shows that this is the right place to continue growing as we are looking at Iguazu, what we call Project Iguazu for the 300 megawatts. So from a long-term point of view, I think it's just a confirmation that what we have been seeing and saying for a number of years, that Paraguay is a great place to invest for a number of reasons, but now is recognized by Moody's and as a, again, safe place to invest, both politically and financially.
And what should we look out for across the rest of the year, Olivier?
Well, so clearly, as I mentioned earlier, like the most important thing that we have to continue to focus on is indeed on getting the project Villeta to a final investment decision. That's 260,000 tons of fertilizer, right? This is not a small project. And we are in a good situation to reach FID by the end of the year. Then we have the power purchase agreements for project number 2 and project number 3 in Paraguay and Costa Rica and beyond. So I think what you will see is certainly continued progress on Villeta. And as well as, let's say, an acceleration of our work into copy pasting, all of our projects and improving the pipeline of projects for the growth of Atome.
Olivier, I hope you'll keep us posted on any progress. Thank you very much for the update today.
Thank you very much, Stephen.
That's Atome CEO Olivier Mussat.